very good morning. One example why we are working together in the Data Spaces Business Alliance is that we found out all 4 organizations of us are working on data spaces, having ingredients, having building blocks to create data spaces, to create interoperable data spaces. And that is why the 4 of us started to create a converged technology, so a joint technology framework being set up out of 3 main pillars. And the first one is on data interoperability. So providing building blocks to create interoperable data spaces using common APIs, using common data models. Here, for example, FIWARE is contributing with an API called NGSI with standard data models. And this is very important for this interoperability of data spaces. Because imagine there is a smart city data space which would not be able to communicate with a smart mobility or with a smart energy data space. Then we would have done something wrong, definitely wrong. And we are here to avoid this mistake in the future of data spaces in Europe. The second block is on data sovereignty and trust. And also here we are not reinventing the wheel, we are using existing technology, for example, an identity and access management framework from W3C. We are using the federation services of Gaia-X. We are using the connector concept from IDSA, where there are in the meantime several implementations of this concept. One is originally coming from Fraunhofer. There's another one, the True Connector from FIWARE. There's the IDSA connector, which originated out of a project called Gaia-X. And all of them, and several more, are actually in a certification program to make sure that they are interoperable between them. And to make sure that data spaces can work with different connectors and not just with one connector. Yeah, and then we have the third element for data monetization and value creation. And this is also very important for data spaces to make them sustainable. Data do have a value, and here we have building blocks to be able to generate this value based on an European value system. And these are some examples for the elements within the technology convergence we are working on as one part of our joint activities within the Data Spaces Business Alliance.
Thank you, Ulrich. Anna, would you give us some more example of why we have built such an alliance?
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having me here in this fantastic venue. So let's talk about ecosystem and community, and let's complement a bit with this input from Ulrich. So we are here now in an event that is hosted by the Austrian Hub, right? So when we joined forces 1.5 years ago, we learned that each of our organizations work with this concept of hubs. So there are the Gaia-X hubs, well known, IDSA with the hubs and competence centers, iHubs from FIWARE, and then in BDVA we have the iSpaces, actually with being co-led by an Austrian organization, No Center, Stefanie Linstent, that has been mentioned before. And we realized, okay, we have different approaches to hubs, but together we can do so much. And I will give you some information. First, all the hubs are very different, but they all build community at a national or regional level. And there is such a network of knowledge, pan-European and international, more than 100 hubs together. And I will give you more statistics. So if we pull together the hubs of the 4 organizations, we are covering 38 countries. And I mean, I know some of you are growing very fast. Maybe, Francesco, we are already in 39. So 38, 27 European, but also, as it has been mentioned before, there is representation considering all of us, I think in all continents, which is really quite amazing. Then we've been working together in understanding how we can work geographically. So there are hubs in the same countries, and we really need to stimulate collaboration between hubs in the same country. We've been working also at domain specific, looking at, okay, what are the hubs that are working in manufacturing, we have identified 21 different sectors, and we have identified actually that there is knowledge on these sectors in some place in our hubs. And just to give you some information, the most popular sector, manufacturing, like 45% of the hubs really put like under their main priorities manufacturing. Smart cities is second priority for many of the hubs. And then there is a lot in energy, in the agri-food, in health, and mobility. But all the sectors are covered. And a third dimension that is very important, we also learned that, as I said, hubs are very different. They are very diverse. And we also characterize the hubs like saying, okay, let's look at the scope of work. Some are more building ecosystem, are really linking to the policies, are more doing training, others are really developing projects and proof of concept, and some are even providing infrastructure for experimentation, for computing and data infrastructure, and they even have very secure infrastructure for data sharing to help the companies really to experiment before going to the market and experiment building ecosystem with others. So very interestingly, if just look at, I mean, here you represent, many of you, the Austrian hub. 100 hubs is the opportunity to really, a business opportunity if we pull all these things together. And then if you look at the amount of services or things that can be done by these hubs, the opportunity that we have here is really amazing. We've been doing already quite a lot. We brought the community managers of the 4 organizations together. We are learning a lot from each other. We are already distributed to each of the hubs the information about all the other hubs, so you can already start building your collaborations. And we are having already our regular bi-monthly meetings with the hubs. The important part, and here is the challenge, the hubs is as a tool, is the companies, is really the companies, the value that is created out there which really matters. And many of the hubs, many of you are already working in this convergence. We are bringing convergence of Gaia-X with IDSA, or IDSA with BDVA, with FIWARE. And you give us a very strong message that the companies, they need a bit more clarity on, okay, what is Gaia-X with the IDSA technology convergence document, and other things that we will hear now from Lars, are really the tools that we will bring to the hubs to make, to facilitate access to the data spaces, and also to give more clarity to companies. But please give us feedback, because we really need to create impact. But again, think about over 100 hubs all over the world.
Thanks, Anna. So I think the strong message here from Ulrich was we want to converge on architecture. And Anna is giving another strong message. We want to converge on the hubs. In other words, if we are really trying to solve the problem of fragmentation in Europe, we better not fight in competition across associations that are trying to do the same thing. Lars, what do you think about that, and what other examples you can bring around this endeavor?
Yeah, well, this is absolutely paramount to do that. We are building something big. Thanks to your initial speech, we are all convinced, and I think we all share that vision. The data spaces are a true paradigm shift, not only for Europe's economy, probably for, well, society as such, and definitely on global scale. And we cannot afford that we invent the wheel again and again and again. So therefore, why are the 4 organizations here sitting on stage? Because we represent stability, continuity, sustainability of, well, all the insights that we have gained throughout the last years. And we are all, well, some of us are on stage since longer than a decade, FIWARE, BDVA, IDSA, and now Gaia. So there's so much insights, and this insight is pooled in the organizations. And therefore, so what are we doing in the associations? We are building consensus, we are harmonizing, and we make the proof that all of the different building blocks really stick together. And that is what we need to do. And that is what we already have achieved, what Ulrich mentioned. We have this converged, consistent framework that you can use to build data spaces, federated data sharing ecosystems. and it is there and it is available. So therefore, all the consensus building, all the detailed discussion, this is done in working groups, in bodies within our organization. We have the experts there, and we guarantee sustainability, and this will last for years or decades even. And this is also the differentiation to a data spaces support center, an action that ends at some point in time. But it will be a huge accelerator for what we are doing. So what do we want to have? So we want to leave impact for data economy. That is written in our mission. So therefore we need to give some proof points. When I think of data spaces, I always think of Lego bricks. Yeah, you said something like this. So we all want to see the great fire department, or the big Lego harbor, or the police station, or the spaceship. Yeah, that's fine. Lego sells that. But it starts with assembling some blocks. And I don't know if you are aware of this nice iPhone app where you scan a whole pile of Lego bricks that you probably have somewhere in your house. And then this app says like, okay, what can you build with these bricks that you do have? And then it says you can build a tiny house, or a green frog, or a small car. Yeah, well, this is already something nice, and you can use it. And then it is our job to make more out of it, but you can already do something. In DSBA, we already can build some of these Lego models, and we will build bigger ones, we assemble them. And then in our test beds, in the facilities that we have, with the approval scheme of a data spaces support center, we will make sure that we build out of a car and a nice ship and some houses, maybe a nice Lego town. That is at the end what we need for European data spaces. But we are not there yet, but we have all the elements and we have all the building bricks. And let's not invent, let's scan with our iPhone this pile of Lego bricks and see what we can already build. And we can tell you there's a lot. And that is where we need the hubs and our whole ecosystem. These are the places where this happens, where we can really play around, sitting there with our piles of Lego bricks, bring them together and see, oh, we can build something bigger and bigger. We need to give visibility of all the great things. So you maybe have built a nice ship, a nice house, or some nice animals. We will display that on the radar, because what we need to give is inspiration to understand why data spaces are a good thing, how all of these complex technologies stick together. How can we bring together the IDSA certification scheme with the Gaia trust framework? How can we then build it and connect it to a context broker? How can we add real cool AI services on top of it? We can give this inspiration with the framework that we have so far, and we need all the facility, the test beds that we have all over Europe in our hubs. And we will display it on the DSBA radar, which is really a big data tool to display what is out there. You can already see it, and we are currently on it to make a true big data dashboard for all the great data space things that are happening in the near future. We will present it soon. So therefore, I would like to end my speech with, we are really on something big. You mentioned it at the beginning. I would ask all of you to have a look at the Gartner hype cycle. Do we see the data spaces there? I would love to see it there, because what I feel is we need to still continue telling the story that this is really something big and we are all part of it.
And Lars, this brings me to a point. We are not doing this as a theoretical exercise, as a research undertaking. We are doing this to bring it on the street. We are doing this to help farmers to increase their productivity, to help manufacturing companies to improve their supply chain processes, to increase the quality of life of citizens living in cities and also in villages. So that's why we are doing this, and therefore it is important really to align our forces to reach this target based on a technology convergence, but with a strong will. And I think we are sitting here with this strong will to join forces and to make things reality.
Thank you, my friends. And I hope, just wrapping up, that first of all, this was not annoying, but I want to give you some takeaways. what is the DSBA, what is it in place, and I'll try to summarize. First of all, we don't want anymore a fragmented Europe, not from the, let me say, market community, so we support, endorse, and enable the creation of projects of federations, and that we therefore wanted to ally across our organizations, and we wanted to give a concrete sign. Second, we wanted to provide a concrete sign of pragmatism. Too many times associations have been preaching to the prayers. We decided that possibly we can be more concrete. How we do that? Convergent architecture, technical documents that technicians can understand. A radar to map all the possible opportunities. We have no ideas how many opportunities we have. We better create a dashboard, intercept that. And this event here is an example of how many projects you can see. But again, this is the tip of the iceberg. Third element, all of us, we are complementary. IDSA started more than 6 years ago, tried to define a process, but they did not really develop software reusable assets, not to the level that maybe the industry is requiring it. FIWARE developed a framework of software components that are necessary to create applications. BDVA is looking at the artificial intelligence side of the data, without which no value can be created. And Gaia-X came around the corner creating this common engine to create federated ecosystems of data and infrastructures. We are perfectly matching one another. Last but not least, we want to make sure our membership understand this is a great opportunity for connecting and creating bigger things. So reach out to us in case you have questions, and make sure you understand that you can contribute to our endeavor and not just, let me say, expect that we are inventing something new. We're not inventing something new here. We are consolidating and converging. With that said, I think we are over. Tobias, and I'll leave the floor back to you.